Welcome back to Living Resonance. I'm Monifa, and today we're exploring the cosmic current of the gene keys and the lunar cycles so you can cultivate your voice, live your genius, and weave your legacy in harmony with the current frequencies. So, we're currently in the lunar phase of the full moon in Capricorn on the 29th over here on the Pacific coast of the US, which is also Gene Key 58 and Human Design Gate 58. So we're experiencing the themes of in the Gene Keys, the shadow of dissatisfaction, the gift of vitality, and the city, SIDDHI, of bliss. So this is all about the genius of acceptance. So we're talking about what does it take to have ambition and bliss here in this Gene Key 58. So it's really about this invisible saboteur that lies beneath the surface when we're dealing with a lot of stress and it's threatening to drown us in a sea of meh. Yeah. So this is like blahs, the blahs. So in the shadow here, that is what we're getting. We're getting the blahs. We're just doing what we have to do, getting it in if we have any way we can, just doing it by rote in some ways. And while rote is really great for memorization, it's not great for assimilation and or learning and improving and doing more and better things in the future, right? And this is a full moon in Capricorn, so it is about climbing that mountain, that goat climbing that mountain, right? So that is the objective in this energy is trying to get us to the top of what we perceive as success, to the top of our career goals, all of this kind of thing. It is for us doing more better. It really is. But it's going about it in this way that is kind of confusing. This feeling can come out of nowhere and it can be a bigger threat than huge emotional takedowns. I think for some of us, we're used to a lot of emotions. If you're anything like me, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, right? We have it's rising Scorpio, but water on all sides. So emotion is common for me, but when that emotion is seeping out of my body, which is pretty much how I experience depression or um, kind of what a lot of people call the overwhelm the results of overwhelm and anxiety, right? So in the middle of it, if I'm under the pressure, I'm in the middle of something, I am one of those that just, I'm going to focus on what I need to focus on now, keep it moving. That is usually not my problem. It is when the pressure is off that it becomes a problem. So, and in the life I've created, I have created a life where I don't have the pressure. I've created it to support the way I like to live, which is in a free and easy way, right? And so this can sometimes be my shadow that it comes up. It's this kind of this meh feeling like nothing's useful, nothing's going to, nothing matters. It's kind of that feeling too. This is also something that I've experienced when I was younger, when I had low iron, folks. So if you've ever had low iron and or you suspect you may have low iron, um, you know, physiology is a thing. Just saying, you might want to support on all sides when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? So this energy is telling us to cut the fat on the to-do list, right? Only because it's the full moon. It's not like a new moon, right? So full moon is about what are we letting go of? What are we trimming off? What projects don't we need? What things that we thought were, on the moon are just like, it's not going to be worth it. It's not going to be worth the time, effort, the focus when we have limited focus nowadays. I don't know about you. I thought it was going to be more of an external thing. For me, it's a very much internal thing. My body is not trying to focus right now. Okay. So for whatever, however it's showing up for you, just recognizing that that is the challenge of this time period. So anything we can do to trim off the sides, get rid of the distractions any way possible, create containers where we can focus on the one thing. And that's probably what's going to help during this time period. And this is, these few days, hopefully you'll watch this before the actual full moon on the 29th, because on the 29th, we're going to start hitting into that Mercury retrograde, which is another way of kind of eating at our times, at our amount of time. People tell you to slow down during Mercury retrograde, and I don't really think of it as a slowdown, especially not in the middle of summer. And I get it, guys. People want to be slow in the heat, and I come from, people that are from the heat, Jamaica, Guyana. I grew up in South Florida. Okay, I get heat, I get humidity, I get it. You want to be as slow as possible. But in my archetypes, in my phases, and my seasonal shifts, summer is flow. It's when things should be going easily if we initiated them correctly. But honestly, in this environment, when we're learning to do things in a new way in this Aquarian age, that might not have been feasible. And so, what you're going to have to do is just go with what you've got, but don't keep up the appearance of things by trying to keep up with things that you thought were going to happen, and they're just not going to because something else requires your focus. Okay? There's no need. This is where, like, and this is the other thing. This energy and a lot of the energies that are coming through, it's really intense energy. There is no quit in this energy. There's some alignments, some trines with Pluto in this energy, some alignments and trines with Saturn in this energy. It's not going to take the excuses. I don't care how good they are. And I know there's some good, there's some real life happening out there. I get it. So what this energy does is it reveals, it's going to kind of reveal if you've put your money somewhere your mouth can't go. Okay. Or vice versa. Your mouth is gone somewhere your money can't go. Right? Like that's a real thing in this energy. So just tell the truth. Tell the truth of where you are, what you need, what's going to happen, what you will put your all behind, and tell people when you need to renegotiate something because of the focus you need to have somewhere else. Okay. Communication without ego is going to be a challenge in this energy. And we have done our work. We can do hard things, right? We have all these tools to tune in and to come back to the truth of ourselves. And the bottom line is if you can just hand to heart and be like, I would love to get everything done. And my truth is dot, dot, dot. We just have to stick to the facts. Okay, stick to the facts. No excuses, just stick to the facts. Okay, everybody's having a hard time, so they're not really trying to hear your hard time unless they're friends, which is nice. But even with friends, if you've made promises, they want to know the truth from you. They don't want to hear more excuses either. Because if they did everything and, short of hang the cat to get to wherever they said they were going to get to so that they could see you and you're not showing up, does that really, like, they could have used some notice. Maybe they didn't have to work that hard, right? They could have used that energy and focus somewhere else. So love is great, but truth works in communication and relationships. It totally works. It really does. All right. So it's better for them not to like it temporarily than to not trust you forever, right? All right. I don't know why I'm getting on this tangent, but you know how it goes. Sometimes you just need to hear something. So here we're talking about the Gene Keys first, this wonderful full moon. we're talking about the shadow of dissatisfaction, like I said, and the gift of vitality. This is from stress to bliss. So we're talking about that. Like, what is the stress? What is the stress? Stress is what we believe ambition is going to get us in the future. Yeah. This is the ring of seeking for those who follow codon rings. This is divine dissatisfaction in this section of the chapter. And we can think of dissatisfaction as losing the natural inner state of our natural inner state. So, whatever your natural baseline is for who you are and how you be, your normal attitude, this kind of thing. And our ability to be in stillness, be with ourselves in that place. Okay. And so what happens is that we aren't really feeling any particular emotion, like I was talking about before. It's more of an unease, a restlessness that goes very deep. It can be very unsettling. But it's kind of sometimes this feeling of like, what is that? Why am I feeling that? What is it? It can get really and it what all it is this I need to do something kind of feeling, but it doesn't really cause the agitation of some of the more fiery versions of this. This is still very much an earth sign, Capricorn, right? Even though the hexagram is lake over lake, but water is a version of earth, at least still water, right? Which is what lake is. So it's which is, it's kind of a different archetyping when it comes to the hexagrams that come from the Chinese traditions. Okay. Um, and so in that, there is this kind of still a sense of earthly waters that are always going to be there. It's not going to be like like you're going to disappear on you one day. They're not moving around so much as far as it's not going to leave one ocean to go to the next ocean type of feeling. And so this is what we're looking at. Okay, is this kind of what does it mean to be still water? Still waters run deep, right? And it goes deep. If that unsettled feeling is something you're feeling, it's going pretty far down there. And it's the what's happening in here in the shadow is that it is because of the pressure, what we think we can accomplish and that ambition is breeding dissatisfaction, right? A lack of fulfillment due to the stress of trying to get there. Okay. And this is something that he was actually talking about. Richard Wright, who is the writer of the Gene Keys, was talking about as something that is inherent to doing like self-help, self-improvement kind of work. Because the dissatisfaction leads you to want to be more, do more, and fix yourself so that you can be more productive and all this kind of stuff. And the desire to be more productive is what is dissatisfying to begin with, right? Because if you could just accept that you get done what you get done, then you'd be a lot more satisfied, right? So, so yeah, so there's all this kind of thing, and believe me, I'm the queen of self-help. So, I know this could cut a little bit to the quick here. Very true. This one actually did. I did just like I don't want to do this. Does it even really mean anything? You know how the ego responds when it's not trying to hear something. That was happening for me with this one because I'm just like, oh, this is not the time, but it is the time. I have never been harder on myself than I have been in this last couple weeks. And this is speaking directly to that because my biggest gripe with myself is that I'm not getting enough done, right? So this is about why, like, what happens when we have this energy that wants us to continue to do something that improves, that gets us up this mountain, right? And so the nature of this is wanting to improve yourself. And this is really about the belief that you can do anything to make yourself happy. Okay. And so this is one of those things. Like a lot of us think that that emotions, yes, emotions are a little bit easier because it can do things to gain momentum around feelingness. But states, which is what we're talking about here, is are temporary. So if you're trying, when I talk about state, I'm talking about whatever you think you're going to feel when you have accomplished whatever your ambition is desiring, right? So when you climb up the mountain, what do you think you'll feel? Most of us think we'll be happy or joyful. And joy is a state. It's something that happens temporarily. So if we're waiting to get up to the top of the mountain to feel that, then we're actually living the majority of our lives not in joy, right? And something that we're going to need to hear a little bit later. Karen Curry Parker is going to get us straight on this a little bit later on this one, okay? But yeah, but it's essentially a disquiet that stirs up in the body so that you will realize that nothing you're going to do is going to make you happy, right? It's about turning inward, being in the spirit of our whole selves. So this is really a kind of a divine aspect to energy to remind us of who we are. Okay, so the condition here is that the drive will actually, so in other words, when I'm talking about condition, it's essentially like what, well, I mixed this up a little bit. It's a little bit of the nature as well, like which is how I think of like why is this happening in nature and what is the essence of the energy. But here it's really this drive that evolutionarily sends us out to improve things. So we make things easier, we make things more beautiful, we make things take less time, all of this kind of stuff because we're constantly seeking never-ending improvement, right? And so it improves the world as a whole for all of us. And eventually it's going to drive you back inward so that you can do that work. So here, the programming partner, which you can think as the opposition if you're a Western chart girly, um, is the 52. So this pole of energy is in that shadow is stress, is restraint is the gift, and then stillness. And so stress, if you think about stress and dissatisfaction, like stress breeds dissatisfaction. That's what he's talking about here as that pressure, right? The pressure to do better for the future, right? So in that, this is really telling us here that if that's how we are keeping ourselves going, then that's a problem. That is not sustainable, right? And then the gift is like that mirror is saying, well, if you want to have some of this wonderful vitality, you're gonna have to not do a couple things, restraint. You're gonna have to do what is necessary and what is the focus, not everything. Not everything is going to get done, right? So here we go with the repressive side. There is none. There is no repressive side of this shadow energy. We are not repressing this energy because if it was, if we repressed our vitality, we would just be able to kill ourselves with our own ennui, right? So that is why there is no repressive side to this energy. I always forget which key it is, and this is it, the 58. Um, and so, yeah, I think there's one other actually. But this is one of them. Okay. On the reactive side, it is interfering. So if we're reacting against this energetic uneasiness that's happening within us, then we want to do something, kind of anything. And that something is inherently interfering. And essentially because nature will take its course, and when we start doing things because we think it's needed, then we are interfering with the natural flow of things. So it's essentially interfering is the shadow here on the reactive side. And essentially, a lot of this time we're trying to recreate a moment where we felt joy or trying to get back to a place where we actually liked something or it was a good time, right? And if you've ever seen somebody who's really great at orchestrating people and are like, we're going to do it just like we did it last time, or even if you had parents that were really into holidays because they had one good holiday or they dreamt of this one great way a holiday can go, and they're constantly trying to recreate it, and all it does is stress everybody out. Yeah, that, that, that energy, that's what we're talking about. Okay. And so yeah, so that is it. So if we want to be in the good graces of the gift of this energy, what we get to do is start to recognize what it takes to be uh, able not to create a state of joy, but to recognize that it is available because it's already within us. Everything's already in us, right? If we're back into that connection and back into unity consciousness, we would not feel the separation of dissatisfaction. We're not, because, dissatisfaction is the reaction to the separation, right? So here we're talking about acceptance. I told you that was going to be the genius, right? And this is just kind of with Richard Rudd's profound assessment is really to that we realize how hopeless the situation is. Um, to try to create again these things, to try to create joy. Like we're gonna know we know exactly the chemical compound that's going to become the joy, right? Like no, that's not how it works, right? It happens as a natural result of being. And when we are fully present, fully connected to the moment, and not thinking only about the future, then we get to experience it with everybody else. But if we're focusing out there, then we may miss the joy that is happening right now. Okay. So yeah, so evolutionary is about that. And helping you let go of the future so you can focus on the now, in the present, on the insides. So this is about emotional calm. This is about mental stillness. So actually a really great energy for what I would consider meditation. And there's so many different kinds of meditation. So pick your favorite, pick some, if you're a sound person, if you're a guided meditation person, if you're a walking meditation person, whatever floats your boat. But I think meditation would be a good idea to bring yourself into a present state to trim the fat, right? Like to be able to say, okay, yeah, as much as my ego is tied up in getting this thing done. I actually am not interested in that. I'm interested in this. I'm going to focus over here. I'm going to focus here. And that becomes your new mountain. Okay. So yeah, in the gift of vitality, we understand that joy is in the service once it is clear for ourselves. Once and it really is a result of the acceptance itself. It becomes a choice. That's why it is an evolution. Sometimes I say like you're just gonna have to figure it out to get over to the other side of the gift. The bridge from the shadow of dissatisfaction is to start the journey of acceptance. And so first it's a decision and you let it kind of seep into your mind of, okay, this is what it is. This is how it is. It's okay. And then it becomes a sensation in the body that can be felt. And then it gets into the blood and it gets into our DNA and our little DNA, little things start exploding, their atomizations of this truth. Okay. And these things, are scientific. He has Richard Rudd when he was writing this, and most of it was kind of download it, but he had already studied all of these things like DNA, amino acids, codon rings. This is all DNA information. And this is what happens when there is a shift and change in the DNA, especially when it stops being it's really perspective. This is why they say mindset is so important to health. So that's what changes the cue for chemical reactions to happen in a different way. And it causes these little mini explosions in the body where you can move into a state of vitality, brings the energy back to the body, right? So if you have ever had this experience, you might have called it that, or somebody might have led you through an experience of calling your energy back to your body. And really, it's just an idea of like, where is your mind at? Where is your energy at? Why are you trying to prove? What are you trying to, fix? What are you trying to prevent? Whatever that circumstance is, recognize that your energy is over there. Decide not to have your energy over there. Clean that up and call that energy back to your body. That is a lot of what this is, except for maybe in a career ambition, goal setting way. Okay, so that's some clarity for those folks who are in my energy work group, right? You got a quote here. The gift of vitality knows empathically how to work with life processes in a non-interfering manner. So again, if you've done energy work, if you know anything about healing, this is very much that idea that if something's already happening, we're not going to like kind of jumpstart it. We're not, Western medicine. We're not going to try to blow something up to fix something else. We are really just assisting what's already available, which is again, joy, all these things, all these states are already available in the body. The question is, are you in the body enough to be able to sense, feel, immerse yourself in them. Okay. So that is the ability to heal anything. So the ability to find this natural energetic flow and allow it to be more right? So he calls it like catalyzing. So you think the people that have this as a part of their chart, or if you are in the experience of this energy in this full moon, then you have this sense that you can tell where the energetic flow is going and can go, and and when you are present, it is more likely to do that. So that is with the beauty of being in a high vibration, because if the energy is available, then you are available for the energy, and it will be part of what is feasible in and around you. Okay. So once that energy shift happens, it reshapes the body, the mind, the thing, life so quickly that you might want to hold on to your pants because it does. It's like he calls it actual explosions in the book of like catalyzing energy. Catalyzing means a thing is exponential growth in the biggest way of nature does this in a way that is almost well, can be instant. This is where instant healings come from, all that kind of thing. Okay. So it goes pretty fast. So there is that. And the energy of this, again, this season, this is a fire season. Everybody's talking about slowing down. Fire is not slow. Like it's not gonna be like, yeah, I'll wait on you to burn up this wood. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So instead of trying to act like things aren't fast, really just taking your pauses where you can, preparing when you can. Uh, don't believe the hype that you don't have enough time to review and to think through and to feel through and to sit with your intuition a bit on any choices during this time. Because especially again, as we move in Mercury retrograde through, it's the end of the month through July. I don't know, it's a long one. I think July 20th around there. So yeah, like it's not so much slowing down, but it is breathing. Do breathe. Do breathe. Do take your time, but don't try to put on brakes. that will hurt you or somebody. Like, don't do that. Okay. And don't try to reverse. Like, reverse isn't, I mean, no. And as things from the past come up and as things are re regurgitated, rehashed in relationships, y'all, this is when they say like pick your fight, pick your pick your lane, pick your anything. Just pick a position and stick to it. And if other people want to go other places, that's their business. But don't try to fix everything now. Just, fix what's in front of you and refocus on what it is that we're creating. All right. So yeah, and because Mercury retrogrades can be about fixing. They can be about seeing something that was done incorrectly and going back and doing it differently, right? So not going back in time, but going back and editing like a writer or something like this, right? So like that's okay. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Go back and look at it again. Look at it again. Read it again. Read slowly. Read it again. See if you still think it meant what you thought it meant the first time, right? These are the ways we live in the Mercury retrogrades, even if it wasn't in the middle of fire season. It's not about changing things and changing your mind all of a sudden because you're in Mercury retrograde and like, I was going to do something, but no, I'm not going to do it anymore. Not a good idea. It's never, if it's meant for you, it's meant for you to do, whether it's Mercury retrograde or not. Don't buy into all this stuff, y'all, as far as like there's a right way to do anything. That's another lesson I've been hearing from a couple people. There's not a right way to do anything. Don't let these people make you believe that there's a right way to do anything. You, your body, your experience, you know more than anybody else can know about you. So continue to trust yourself and how you decide to move through things. Okay. There's an inner intuition, so the guidance there. Uranus is helping us out with our own intuition and being able to actually see into the future enough that we can be present with our choices and our focus. So trust that. Trust that. Okay. Moving on to Karen Curry Parker. I'm so preachy today. Um, Karen Curry Parker defines 58 as the gate of joy of accomplishment. So we got both things going again. You got the joy piece going. We recognize the bliss availability in that city and the accomplishment going. She's well understanding. We are in a Capricorn moon, right? And the hard part that she talks about is understanding what's the problem, learning what blocks your joy, and the understanding that joy is not a luxury, it is a cue of vitality, right? So it's a cue of knowing you are present enough and your energy is in yourself enough to be alive. Okay. So understanding and reconnecting with what lights you up, that is your cue for vitality and about what you are doing to make it to that top of the mountain. Okay. And so ultimately, I got a quote for you. Understanding joy as the fuel for growth, proficiency, and motivation. Understanding joy as the fuel for growth, proficiency, and motivation. That joy is the indicator, right? So unbalanced, because if you're present and you're doing the thing, then you're all of a sudden spontaneously happy, then you're good. Then you know you're present, your energy's present, and you can keep that up because you're gonna have to keep it up for a while to make it to the top of the mountain, right? So that is it. That is it right there. If you are feeling, so this is the indicator that you are actually more in shadow again. Burnout, frustration, loss of motivation, meh, meh, meh. Joy, then you know that joy has been replaced by perfectionism or the pressure of what it will take to succeed. And those are usually limiting beliefs that are outdated. because limiting beliefs are essentially anything that'll keep you from getting there. If you are getting there by pressuring yourself, that is not sustainable. You will end, it will burn out, it will explode, it will implode. This is why we are looking for more natural indicators of movement, right? So you can tell when there's routine without passion. And you're just like, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes, there's even, some of us are stranger than others. Sometimes you're washing the dishes and you start singing. Sometimes you just are doing that thing you do every day and you start dancing. If you have random acts of spontaneous joy, that means there's a passion in what you're doing, even if it feels like you're doing a routine or rote, doing something by rote. So that's your indicator that you can keep doing this. This is something you can keep doing for a long as it takes. And you will still be happy. And you'll be happy on the way there and not just wait till you get to the top of the mountain to be happy. Right? Right. So that's a reminder. Ultimately, it is not always about action, but it is always about the perspective. How are you feeling about that thing? What does it mean to you? Is it really where your focus and energy are? Is it sustainable within you? Because it's about you, what you can get done, and not about what other people want you to get done. Okay. Got a few questions from Karen Curry Parker for you to journal on. Here you go. There's no, first question is, when do you leave the present moment for worry or fear? Question number two. I'm pretty sure that's first. Where have I traded joy for acceptance or approval? And what beliefs do I have about joy not being compatible with my success? You tell me, folks. You tell me. So that's what you have. Remember that if you are ever interested in understanding the full impact of your voice and what it will mean when you decide to master that beautiful instrument in your body, you can check out my free download in the description. And always remember that Gene Keys is on Gaia. So if you haven't tried them out, you might as well try them with one of the discounts or free links that I get. So I think this one is a discount. I'm not sure, but try the one in the description to find out. Okay. And I will see you guys on the next cycle.